Well, unfortunately, it's that time of year again where we gotta put our home on wheels away in hibernation, kind of like a bear with a Netflix subscription. But before we hibernate, let's talk about the mistakes that you absolutely want to avoid before putting your RV to bed for the winter. And trust me, these tips could save you from a moldy mess and a new family of squirrels as bunkmates when it comes springtime. Welcome back to the Camping Loop. Number 1, not properly cleaning the inside or the outside of your rig. Now I get it, after a long fun summer with your RV, the last thing anybody wants to do when they get back in is clean it. But I'm telling you, skipping this step comes with some serious regret come springtime. When you leave food crumbs, spills, or maybe even dirty items, you're definitely inviting mold and mildew to kind of throw a party inside. Leftover food can lead to a mildew attack that can absolutely ruin your upholstery. And it's much harder to clean up and stop once it starts spreading. Make sure to remove any food or paper products from any of your cupboards inside, and make sure to give them a good wipe out. Clean out the fridge, give that a good wipe down as well, and leave it open a crack, to prevent mold from growing in there. Also, make sure to remove any liquids that might freeze, crack, or break and leak all over inside the RV. A little bit of cleaning certainly helps stopping your RV from being a sweet little hotel for mice and rodents. And don't forget about the exterior. We don't want this shiny thing to be oxidized or those black streaks to become permanent. And if you guys are looking for a video on how to remove those, check one out in the description down below. A little bit of awesome orange goes a long way. And of course, a good wash and wax on the exterior is going to keep this thing looking great come springtime. Number 2, and it's an obvious one, not winterizing your RV. Now maybe you're new to the whole world and you're wondering what that term is. You keep hearing it thrown around. Essentially all it is preparing the RV plumbing system for freezing temperatures. If you leave water in the tanks, the lines, or the hoses, you can imagine what happens next. Now we're not going to get into how to do this on this video. There's a couple of them out there floating around. You could probably even find one specific to your actual unit. But if you skip this step, make sure you plan on becoming a plumber in the spring. Number 3. Using the wrong RV cover. Now I know what you guys are thinking. A cover is a cover, right? Well, no, not really. You can't just throw a tarp over an RV and call it a day. That's like putting a raincoat on a cat in the middle of a thunderstorm. It simply ain't going to work. If you guys are going to use an RV cover, don't skimp out. Make sure you get a decent one made of breathable fabric so prevent mold and mildew from growing on it. One that's made of wind-resistant material so it doesn't end up looking like this. And make sure you get one that's the right size. If you get it too big, it ends up being like a giant wind parachute flopping around, rubbing on the roof, rubbing on the exterior, possibly causing damage. And I can tell you, if you do have a rip, the last thing you want to do is leave it like this. Spring for a good one. You guys aren't going to be sorry. Next up on the list, not disconnecting your battery. Now this is probably the most common mistake that we see when it comes to people storing their RVs over the winter. Because it's easy to forget. Did you guys know that in cold weather your battery can crack and freeze? Now, obviously it's not going to be catastrophic for the RV, but you will be buying a new one, and I can tell you something from experience, these batteries aren't cheap. Now these things are usually a couple $100. Your best bet obviously is to unhook it, bring it inside, get it off the concrete, and maybe hook it up to some sort of charger. In reality, this battery will drain faster than my motivation to go to the gym if we leave it outside all winter. Number 5, ignoring your roof maintenance. Now obviously this is the RV's first line of defense against snow, rain, leaves, hell, even birds. Ignoring the maintenance that it requires is like leaving your front door open when you leave for vacation. So what do you do to keep your roof in tip-top shape? Inspections. Get up there, clean it, get some soap and water, remove any debris, check for any leaks or bubbles or cracks in the sealant. Do your slide toppers, clean out your gutters. And take your time. Dirt and algae, they love to hide up there. And then get yourself some sealant and go around and check for all the spots that it might be missing, cracked, or voided, and replace it with the right stuff. And definitely remember that regular maintenance on your roof is the key to making this thing last. It is much cheaper to repair it than it is to replace it. Number 6, not checking your tire pressure before storing away your rig. When you park your camper for the off-season, it's easy to forget about the tires, right? Well, thing is, storing your RV with proper tire pressure can seriously help reduce things like cracking on the sidewalls or underneath where the weight's sitting on it, or maybe even flat spots. I mean, most likely over the course of the winter, your tires are certainly going to start to lose pressure, so it's really important to check them throughout the course of the storage. And never do this. Can you see that down there? Leave your stabilizer jacks down. If, or more likely when, they lose pressure, that means the entire weight of the camper is going to be resting on those jacks, and that's simply not good. And we all know tires can be crazy expensive, so with a little bit of proper storage, you guys stand a lot better chance of not replacing them early. Number 7, not properly cleaning out your holding tanks. And I get it, last thing you want to do is get up and close and personal with, well, you know, trust me, skipping this step can lead to some pretty stinky situations. Holding tanks, both gray and black, can build up all sorts of nasty bacteria if they're left untreated, and a good cleaning will prevent any sludge from turning into a science experiment over the winter. Now don't be shy, use a pressure washer like we do, or at least a decent hose nozzle attachment, and get everything flowing like it should. And remember, don't ever introduce bleach or other harsh cleaning chemicals. I mean, these things can wreak havoc on your tank seals and your whole plumbing system. We made a video a few months back on how to properly clean these tanks, and we'll post it down below in the description. Check it out, you might be surprised on what you learn. Number 8, and honestly it might be the most important one to avoid, not checking in on your RV periodically. I know at least here in New York, most campgrounds are closed for 6 months out of the year, and that's a really long time to just park your rig and forget about it. What if you did miss a spot up on the roof when you were inspecting it, or maybe a mouse got inside? You know what kind of damage that can create? Now, in my opinion, it's always a good idea to pop in once every couple weeks, just to check on everything, and maybe give yourself some peace of mind. Some people just throw a cover on it and call it good for 6 months. Let me know down in the comments section. Maybe that's you, or maybe you do something else that I don't. Let me know. The guy's always trying to learn new tricks. And hopefully, maybe you guys learned something from this video. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. But if you did, and you want to see more, go ahead and hit that button for me down below. It's free, it's easy, and you guys are going to get to see a lot more videos, kind of like the one you saw today, every week. And as always, we appreciate you guys watching, and we will see you in the next one.